Elias Ward, a single dad exhausted after 2 years of juggling being a father and an office worker, was supposed to deliver a report on time. But when he pushed open the wrong door, his whole life stopped. In the room was not a conference table, but Marienne Vale, a billionaire CEO, changing clothes, completely surprised, completely unprepared to meet anyone. An impossible moment had happened. And from that moment, Elias's job, future, and heart were all about to be turned upside down. Elias stood in the hallway with his back pressed against the wall. His hands were shaking. The report folder had fallen somewhere near his feet. He could not move, could not breathe, could not think past the image burned into his brain. Marienne Vale, half-dressed, staring at him with those cold gray eyes. He was done. Finished. 2 years at Valiant Dynamics erased in 3 seconds. The building hummed around him. Fluorescent lights, distant voices, the faint ping of elevator doors. Everything felt surreal, like the moment before a car crash, when time stretches thin and you see everything coming but cannot stop it. Someone walked past, a woman from accounting. She glanced at him but did not slow down. Elias forced himself to move. He picked up the folder, straightened his tie, walked toward the elevator with legs that did not feel like his own. He had woken up that morning the same way he woke up every morning. 5:30, alarm blaring. Ari's small voice from the other room asking if it was pancake day. It wasn't pancake day. It was never pancake day on Tuesdays. But she asked anyway because she was 6 and hopeful and still believed her father could make miracles happen between coffee and carpool. He had kissed her forehead, made toast, packed her lunch with the crusts cut off the way she liked, drove her to school while she sang along to some song about butterflies, dropped her off, watched her run toward the gate with her backpack bouncing. That image always stayed with him. The backpack, the way it was too big for her small frame, the way she never looked back because she trusted he would always be there when she came out. Then he had driven to Valiant Dynamics, parked in the far lot because senior staff took the close spots, rode the elevator to the 8th floor, sat at his desk in the corner of the open office plan where nobody noticed him unless something went wrong. That was his life. Wake up, keep Ari alive, keep his job, repeat. He was not supposed to be anywhere near the executive floor today, but his manager had been sick. The quarterly report needed to go up. Someone had to deliver it. Elias had volunteered because he always volunteered, because he needed to be the reliable one, the one who showed up, the one who did not complain. Conference room, B. 14th floor. That was what his manager had said. Elias had taken the elevator, walked down the pristine hallway with its glass walls and abstract art that probably cost more than his annual salary. He had checked his watch. 7 minutes until the board meeting, plenty of time. He had reached for the door handle, pushed it open, and his life had imploded. Now he sat in his car in the parking lot. It was nearly noon. He had no memory of leaving the building, no memory of walking to his car. His dark hands gripped the steering wheel. His phone buzzed, a text from the school, reminder about early dismissal on Friday. He deleted it. His hands were still shaking. Marienne Vale did not know his name. She had never looked at him before today. She was a figure you saw in company emails, in the glass-walled conference rooms on the top floor, in the annual reports that celebrated another record-breaking year. She wore sharp suits, spoke in clipped sentences, fired people with the efficiency of someone canceling a subscription service. The company called her the Ice Queen, not to her face, never to her face. But everyone knew. Everyone felt the cold. Elias had seen her once in the lobby. She had walked past him without a glance. He had felt small, invisible, which was fine. Invisible was safe. He was not invisible anymore. His phone rang. Unknown number. He let it go to voicemail. It rang again. Same number. He answered. Mr. Ward, this is Tessa from Executive Affairs. Miss Vale would like to see you in her office at 2Y today. 14th floor, Suite A. Please confirm. Elias opened his mouth. No sound came out. The woman on the phone waited. "I'll be there," he finally said. The line went dead. He sat in the car for another 20 minutes. Then he drove to a coffee shop, ordered something he did not drink, sat by the window, watched people walk past. Normal people with normal problems. People who had not just committed career suicide. At 1:45 he drove back, parked, took the elevator, walked down the hallway toward Suite A. His heart hammered against his ribs. The door was solid wood, expensive. A small plaque read, "Marienne Vale, Chief Executive Officer." He knocked. "Come in." Her voice was calm, controlled, the same voice that had said nothing when he had stumbled backward and slammed the door 3 hours ago. Elias stepped inside. The office was larger than his apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, minimalist furniture, a desk that looked like it had been carved from a single piece of black marble. Marienne sat behind it. She wore a different suit now, charcoal gray, perfectly pressed. Her natural hair was pulled back elegantly, her deep brown skin luminous in the afternoon light. Her expression was unreadable. "Sit," she said. He sat. She looked at him for a long moment. He tried to meet her eyes. Failed. Stared at the edge of her desk instead. "Mr. Ward, you delivered the quarterly report this morning." "Yes." "You were supposed to leave it in conference room B." "Yes." "You did not leave it in conference room B." "No, I opened the wrong door. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to." She held up one hand. He stopped talking. "I read your proposal last month," Marienne said. "The one about streamlining client onboarding. Your manager dismissed it, said it was too ambitious for someone at your level." Elias blinked. He had no idea where this was going. "I disagreed," she continued. "I thought it showed initiative, clear thinking, an understanding of our inefficiencies that most senior staff don't have." She opened a folder on her desk, slid a single sheet of paper across to him. "I'm launching a pilot program. 6 months, small team. Your proposal as the foundation. I want you to lead it." Elias stared at the paper. It was a project outline. His name was already typed at the top. "I don't understand," he said. Marienne leaned back in her chair. Her expression did not change. "This morning was unfortunate for both of us, but it doesn't change the fact that you have a good idea, and this company needs good ideas. I don't make business decisions based on embarrassment. I make them based on value. You have value. Do you want the position or not?" Elias's brain could not process what was happening. He had walked in here expecting to be fired, possibly escorted out by security. Instead, he was being handed the opportunity he had been hoping for since he started working here. "I want it," he said. "Good. You'll report directly to me. We'll meet twice a week to review progress. I expect results. I expect professionalism. I expect you to prove that my decision was correct. Understood?" "Understood." She stood, extended her hand. He stood as well, shook it. Her grip was firm, brief. "Tessa will send you the details. Your first meeting is Thursday at 9 Guao. Don't be late." "I won't be." He turned to leave. "Mr. Ward." He stopped, looked back. Marienne's expression was still unreadable, but something in her eyes had shifted. Just slightly. "The door was unlocked," she said. "I should have locked it. The mistake was not entirely yours." He did not know what to say to that. So he nodded, left the office, walked down the hallway in a daze. The elevator doors closed. He leaned against the wall, let out a breath he had been holding for hours. His phone buzzed, a reminder. Pick up Ari at 3:15. He checked his watch. 2:20. He had time. Elias drove to the school, parked, waited. When Ari came running out, backpack bouncing, he scooped her up and held her tight. "Daddy, you're squishing me," she said, but she was laughing. "Sorry, kiddo, just happy to see you." He set her down, opened the car door, helped her into her booster seat. Did you have a good day? Yeah, we learned about butterflies. Did you have a good day? Elias looked at his daughter. Her bright eyes, her eager face, her complete trust that the world was good and her father would keep it that way. Yeah, he said. I think I did. He had no idea what came next, but for the first time in 2 years, he felt something other than exhaustion. He felt hope. The first meeting was scheduled for Thursday at 9 stories. Elias arrived at 8:45. He sat in the waiting area outside Marienne's office with a portfolio of notes he had stayed up until midnight preparing. His tie felt too tight. He loosened it, tightened it again. Tessa glanced at him from her desk but said nothing. At exactly 9, the office door opened. Marienne stood in the doorway. Same sharp suit, same unreadable expression. Come in, she said. He followed her inside. She gestured to the small conference table by the window. He sat. She sat across from him. Walk me through your implementation strategy, Marienne said. Elias opened his portfolio, began talking. She listened without interrupting. Her eyes stayed on him. He could not tell if she was impressed or bored or calculating how quickly she could replace him. When he finished, she tapped one finger against the table. Your timeline is optimistic, she said. I can adjust it. Don't adjust it. Optimism is useful. Just be prepared for delays. She pulled out her own folder, slid a budget breakdown across to him. The numbers were higher than he expected. Significantly higher. You'll have access to these resources. Use them wisely. I don't tolerate waste. Understood. They worked through logistics for the next hour. Software needs, personnel allocation, reporting structures. It was all business, professional, efficient. But every time their eyes met, Elias felt the weight of what had happened on Tuesday. The door, the frozen moment, the mortification. If Marienne felt it too, she did not show it. When the meeting ended, she stood, extended her hand. He shook it. Her grip was the same as before, firm, brief. Next meeting is Monday, same time. Bring preliminary data. I will. He left, walked back to his desk on the 8th floor. His co-worker, Caspian, leaned over the partition. Heard you got a promotion, working directly with Vale now. Something like that. Caspian whistled low. Rather you than me. That woman doesn't smile. Ever. Good luck, man. Elias did not respond. He opened his laptop and got to work. The second meeting went the same way. Professional. Focused. No mention of Tuesday. The third meeting. The fourth. By the end of the second week, Elias had stopped checking his tie every 5 minutes. Stopped rehearsing his updates in the elevator. Marienne was demanding but fair. She asked hard questions, expected clear answers, but she also listened. Actually listened, which was more than most executives did. On the 5th meeting, something shifted. Elias was explaining a bottleneck in the client intake process when Marienne's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, frowned, silenced it. 2 minutes later, it buzzed again. She ignored it. Continue, she said. He continued. The phone buzzed a third time. Marienne picked it up, read the message. Her jaw tightened. Excuse me. She stood, walked to the window, answered the call. Mother, I told you I'm in a meeting. No, I'm not coming to the gala. We discussed this, because I have a company to run. Goodbye. She ended the call, stood there for a moment with her back to him. When she turned around, her expression was smooth again, controlled, but Elias had seen the crack, just for a second. Where were we? She asked. The intake process. They finished the meeting. But something had changed. She was not just the ice queen anymore. She was a person with a mother who called during work hours, with a life outside these glass walls. The next meeting, Marienne asked about his daughter. It was casual, a throwaway question at the end of their discussion. How old is your daughter? Elias looked up from his notes. 6. Her name is Ari. Childcare must be difficult with this schedule. I manage. My neighbor helps when I work late. Marienne nodded, did not elaborate, but the fact that she asked at all felt significant. By the 4th week, they had fallen into a rhythm. Meetings were still professional, but the edges had softened. Marienne made a dry joke about corporate bureaucracy. Elias laughed. She almost smiled. Almost. One afternoon, they ended a meeting early. Elias stood to leave. Marienne glanced at her watch. Have you had lunch? He had not. No. There's a decent place 2 blocks down. We can continue the discussion there. It was not an invitation. It was an extension of the meeting. That was what Elias told himself as they rode the elevator down together, as they walked side by side through the lobby, as they sat across from each other in a quiet bistro where the tables had actual tablecloths and the menu did not list prices. They talked about the project, market trends, competitor analysis. Then Marienne asked about Ari again. What does she want to be when she grows up? Elias smiled. Last week it was a veterinarian. This week it's an astronaut. Next week it'll be something else. She sounds adaptable. She is. She has to be. Marienne set down her fork. How long have you been on your own? 2 years. Her mother left when Ari was 4. Decided parenthood wasn't for her. I haven't heard from her since. He had not meant to say that much, but Marienne's expression had shifted. Something gentler. Something almost like understanding. That must be difficult. It is. But Ari is worth it. She's the only thing that makes sense. Marienne looked at him for a long moment. Then she picked up her fork again. You're doing well with the project. Better than I expected. Thank you. They finished lunch, walked back, did not mention it again. But the next week, she suggested lunch again. And the week after that. It became routine. Meetings, lunch, conversations that started about work and drifted into other things. Marienne mentioned her mother's relentless social calendar. Elias talked about Ari's obsession with building blanket forts. Neither of them acknowledged what was happening. That the walls were coming down. That the Ice Queen was melting. Then came the afternoon in late October. Elias was in Marienne's office. They were reviewing quarterly projections. His phone rang. He glanced at the screen. The school. He silenced it. 30 seconds later, it rang again. Same number. Answer it, Marienne said. He did. Hello, Mr. Ward. This is Principal Garner. Ari is in the office. She says no one came to pick her up. We've been calling your emergency contact, but there's no answer. Elias's stomach dropped. What time is it? 3:30. School dismissal was at 3 hours. He had forgotten. Completely forgotten. He had been so focused on the presentation that he had lost track of time. His neighbor was supposed to pick up Ari today, but his neighbor wasn't answering. I'll be there in 20 minutes, Elias said. He stood, grabbed his jacket. I'm so sorry, I have to go. I'll send the updated numbers tonight. He was halfway to the door when Marienne spoke. I'll drive you. He turned. What? She was already standing, already reaching for her coat. Your car is in the far lot. Mine is in the executive garage. We'll be there faster. Come on. They took the elevator to the underground garage. Marienne's car was a sleek, black sedan that probably cost more than Elias's annual salary. She drove with the same precision she brought to everything else. Efficient, controlled, but fast. Elias called the school, told them he was on the way. His hands were shaking. He had never forgotten Ari, not once in 2 years. He was the reliable one, the one who showed up. She'll be fine, Marienne said. Her voice was calm, steady. I forgot her. You were working. It happens. It shouldn't happen. Marienne glanced at him. You're not a bad father because you lost track of time once. You're human. They pulled up in front of the school. Elias jumped out, ran inside. Ari was sitting in the office with her backpack on her lap. Her face was red. She had been crying. "Daddy." He scooped her up, held her tight. "I'm so sorry, kiddo. I'm so sorry." "You forgot me," she said into his shoulder. "I know, I messed up. It won't happen again." He carried her outside. Marienne was standing by the car. Ari looked at her with wide eyes. "Who's that?" Ari whispered. "That's Miss Vale. She works with Daddy. She gave us a ride." Marienne stepped forward, crouched down so she was eye level with Ari. "Hello, Ari. I've heard a lot about you." Ari studied her. "You're pretty." A smile flickered across Marianne's face, genuine, brief, but real. "Thank you. You're very pretty, too. Do you like butterflies?" "I do." "Do you want to see my butterfly drawing? I made it in art class." "I would love to." Ari climbed into the back seat, pulled out a crumpled piece of paper, showed it to Marienne. They looked at it together. Marienne asked questions. Ari answered. And for the first time since Elias had met her, Marienne looked completely at ease. She drove them home. Elias tried to apologize again for the inconvenience. Marienne waved him off. It was no inconvenience. They pulled up in front of Elias's apartment building. It was not much, a small 2-bedroom in a complex that had seen better decades. Ari unbuckled her seatbelt, leaned forward. "Do you want to come inside? We have juice boxes." Marienne looked at Elias. He should say no, should thank her and let her leave. But he didn't. "You're welcome to come in," he said. She turned off the engine. Inside, the apartment was small but clean. Ari's drawings covered the fridge. Her toys were scattered across the living room floor. Marienne did not seem to notice. She sat on the couch while Ari brought her a juice box and 3 more butterfly drawings. Elias made coffee, stood in the kitchen, and watched them. Marienne listened to Ari talk about her day with the same focus she brought to board meetings. She asked follow-up questions, laughed at Ari's jokes, and Ari, who was usually shy around strangers, blossomed under the attention. An hour later, Ari yawned. Elias checked the time. Almost 6. "Bath time, kiddo. Can Miss Marienne stay for dinner?" Elias looked at Marienne. She met his eyes. Something unspoken passed between them. "I should go," Marienne said, but she didn't stand up. "Please stay," Ari said. "Daddy makes good spaghetti." Marienne smiled. "I'm sure he does." She stayed. Elias cooked. Marienne helped Ari set the table. They ate together. The conversation was easy, light. Ari asked Marienne about her job. Marienne answered in terms a 6-year-old could understand. Ari told stories about school. Marienne listened. After dinner, Elias put Ari to bed. When he came back to the living room, Marienne was standing by the door with her coat on. "Thank you for today," Elias said. "You already thanked me 3 times. I know. But I mean it." She looked at him the same way she had looked at him in the restaurant, in the car, in the office. Like she was seeing something she hadn't expected to find. "She's wonderful," Marienne said. "You're doing a good job. I forgot to pick her up. And you fixed it. That's what matters." They stood in the doorway. The space between them felt smaller than it should. "I should let you go," Elias said. "Yes, you should." Neither of them moved. Marienne reached for the door handle, stopped, turned back. "The door you opened," she said quietly. "That Tuesday. Maybe it wasn't the wrong door." Elias's breath caught. "What do you mean?" "I mean maybe it was exactly the door you were supposed to open." She left before he could respond. Elias stood in the empty hallway, listened to her footsteps fade, closed the door, leaned against it. Everything had just changed. Over the next 3 weeks, Marienne came to dinner twice more. She brought Ari books about space, about butterflies. She sat on the floor and helped build blanket forts. She laughed at Ari's jokes, and she looked at Elias when she thought he wasn't watching. He was always watching. One evening in late November, after Ari was in bed, they sat on the porch. The air was cold. The street was quiet. "I've been thinking," Marienne said. "About what?" "About doors, about mistakes, about the things we tell ourselves to stay safe." Elias looked at her. "What have you been telling yourself?" "That I don't have time for this, that it's inappropriate, that I'm your boss and you're my employee, and there are rules for a reason." "Those are good reasons." "They're logical reasons, but they're not the whole truth." "What's the whole truth?" Marienne turned to face him. The streetlight caught her eyes, made them softer, warmer. "The truth is that the door you opened wasn't a mistake. It was the first honest thing that's happened to me in years, and I don't want to go back to pretending it didn't." Elias could not breathe, could not think, could only feel the weight of what she was saying. "I don't want to go back either," he said. She smiled, a real smile, full, unguarded. "Then maybe we don't have to." She stood. He stood. They faced each other in the dim light. "This is the best mistake I've ever made," Elias said. Marienne reached for his hand, held it. "Then let's make it on purpose." And for the first time in 2 years, Elias believed that everything might actually be okay. December came fast. The project was ahead of schedule. Elias had assembled a small team, built the framework, tested the system with 3 pilot clients. The results were better than projected. Marienne reviewed his weekly reports with the same sharp focus she brought to everything. But now, when their meetings ended, she stayed. They talked about work, about Ari, about nothing important and everything that mattered. They were careful. No one at the office knew. They kept their distance in public. Separate elevators, no lingering glances in the hallway. But twice a week Marienne came to dinner. Ari had started calling her Miss Marie. She brought drawings home from school specifically to show her. Elias had not felt this settled in years, like he was building something real, something that could last. Then Rowan noticed. Rowan Briggs was Senior Vice President of Operations. He had been with the company for 15 years. He was the kind of man who smiled when he spoke, but never with his eyes. Elias was leaving Marianne's office one Thursday afternoon when Rowan stepped out of the elevator. He glanced at Elias, then at the office door. His expression did not change, but something sharpened in his gaze. "Ward, right? The new project lead?" "Yes, sir. Spending a lot of time up here lately." "The project requires close collaboration." Rowan smiled. "I'm sure it does." He walked past. Elias stood there. A cold feeling settled in his chest. The following week, Rowan attended one of their progress meetings. He sat in the corner, did not speak, just watched, took notes. When the meeting ended, he shook Elias's hand. "Impressive work. Very impressive, especially for someone who was filing reports 2 months ago." Elias forced a smile. "Thank you." After Rowan left, Marienne closed the door, turned to Elias. "He's fishing," she said. "For what?" "Anything he can use. Rowan has wanted my position for years. If he thinks he can leverage something against me, he will. Should we should do nothing differently. We're running a project. That's all anyone needs to know." But Elias could see the tension in her shoulders, the way her jaw tightened. She was worried. 2 weeks later, the board requested a review. Unscheduled, immediate. Marienne was called into a closed session. She came back an hour later. Her face was composed, but her hands were clenched. "They asked about you," she said. Elias's stomach dropped. "What did they ask?" "Why I gave the project to someone with limited experience, whether my judgment was compromised, whether there was any conflict of interest." "What did you tell them?" "I told them your results speak for themselves. I showed them the data, the client feedback, the efficiency improvements. They have nothing concrete. Just suspicion. Suspicion is enough. Marienne met his eyes. Not if we finish strong. The final presentation is in 3 weeks. If you deliver, they'll have to accept that I made the right call. And if I don't? Then Rowan wins. Elias worked 18-hour days. He refined every detail, rehearsed every slide, ran scenario analyses until his eyes burned. Marienne reviewed his work, pushed him harder. She didn't come to dinner, didn't call. They barely spoke outside of project updates. Ari noticed. One night she climbed into Elias's lap while he was going over spreadsheets. "Is Miss Mari mad at us?" she asked. "No, kiddo. She's just busy." "Does she still like us?" Elias held her close. "She still likes us." But he wasn't sure anymore. The night before the presentation, Elias sat in his apartment, stared at his laptop. Everything was ready. The numbers were solid. The presentation was flawless. But his hands were shaking. If this failed, he lost the job, lost the opportunity. Marienne lost credibility. And whatever they had been building together would collapse under the weight of corporate politics. He thought about calling her, decided against it, went to bed, didn't sleep. The presentation was scheduled for 10 in the morning. Full board attendance. Rowan would be there. Elias arrived at 9 now. Marienne was already in the conference room. She looked at him. "Are you ready?" she asked. "I think so. Think is not good enough." "I'm ready." She nodded. "Elias, regardless of what happens today, you did excellent work. I want you to know that." It sounded like goodbye. Elias hated it. The board filed in, took their seats. Rowan sat directly across from Elias, smiled that empty smile. Elias began. He walked them. Through the entire system, showed the before and after metrics. Client retention had increased by 22%, processing time had dropped by 38%. Revenue per client was up, costs were down, every projection had been met or exceeded. He answered questions, handled pushback, stayed calm when Rowan asked pointed questions about resource allocation. Marienne did not intervene, just watched, let him prove himself. When he finished, the room was quiet. The CFO spoke first. "This is solid work, Ward. Better than solid." The head of investor relations nodded. "I want to implement this company-wide. How soon can we scale?" Rowan leaned back in his chair, said nothing. Marienne stood. "I think that answers your earlier concerns about my judgment. Elias was the right choice. The results prove it." The board agreed. The meeting ended. People shook Elias's hand, congratulated him. Rowan left without a word. When the room emptied, Marienne turned to Elias. For the first time in 3 weeks, she smiled. "You did it," she said. "We did it." "No, you did. I just gave you the chance." They stood there. The space between them felt vast, all the things they had not said. "I want to do this right," she said. "I want to protect you and Ari. I don't want you to lose your job because of me." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying we wait 6 months. We keep this private. Let the dust settle. And then, when the time is right, we stop hiding." Elias wanted to argue, wanted to say 6 months was too long, but he understood. She was protecting them, protecting Ari. 6 months, he said, and then we build something real. She squeezed his hand. Deal. 6 months later, on a warm evening in late May, Elias stood on his porch. Ari was beside him. Marienne was on her other side. The three of them watching the sunset paint the sky orange and pink and gold. Ari held both their hands. She had been asking all week when Miss Marie was moving in. Elias had told her soon. Not yet, but soon. Today, Marienne had told the board, made it official, weathered the raised eyebrows and the careful questions, stood firm. Now she was here, where she had been every weekend for the past 6 months, where she belonged. "I was thinking," Marienne said quietly. Elias looked at her. "About what?" About building something new. The three of us, if you're willing. Ari looked up. Does that mean you're staying? Marienne crouched down, met her eyes. If you want me to. I want you to, forever. Marienne's smile was soft, genuine, the walls completely gone. Forever sounds perfect. She stood, looked at Elias. He reached for her hand. Together, he said. Together, she agreed. And for the first time since that door opened, since that impossible moment that should have ruined everything, Elias felt complete. They had built something real, something that mattered, something worth every risk. The sun dipped below the horizon. The three of them stood together. And nobody wanted to go back to the way things were before.